There we go. And cut. I thought that was a catfish. Next time I won't cut halfway through the fish because I thought for sure that was a catfish. I was like, I just caught a catfish on camera. I'm Captain James Dumas. I own Drumman Charters out of St. Augustine, Florida. We're an extreme tourist town. We're the #2 day trip in town in Florida, so we get a lot of people that aren't familiar with it. So I've been able to work with the VCB, which is the Visitor Convention Bureau, for the last few years, and I kind of educate a lot of people that aren't familiar with the waterway and do a lot of the TV shows that come here and show them what we have to offer, because most people are just familiar with the history part of it, but they don't know that we have the nature. So I've lived in a lot of places. After high school, lived in 42 places before I met my wife. Really enjoyed Costa Rica a lot. Stayed there on and off for about 12 years. And I've also lived all over the US, lived all over California, Northeast, stuff like that. Fished probably every inch of Florida. Lived in the Panhandle, lived in the Keys. I went to college in Southwest Florida. I used to look at maps and just try to discover where would be cool, untouched places to go. And one of my favorite places, right before I decided to call St. Augustine home, I went to the very southern tip of Belize on a little puddle jumper, met a really nice guy down there and just ended up helping him out with his house down there and running the island, which was pretty amazing. So my whole thing is catching the biggest fish you can catch in nice calm waters. It can't be too shallow for me. I run East Cape Vantage, which is a 19-foot flats boat. I also have a little 15-foot ultra skiff that I go. I have a canoe, I have paddle board, so I love getting shallow. Sometimes you can only see, 4 to 6 inches in the water. Other times in the winter time, if we get real cold, you can see maybe 6 feet. A lot of people that haven't fished this area and watch it on TV are used to seeing, a redfish just waving with his whole tail out. And we do get that. We get flood tides certain times of the year from summer through the fall, where you might see 3/4 of a 25-inch, 30-inch redfish, and he's only got his gills in the water underneath and his whole tail's waving. That gets everyone going. Most people that haven't done it, they're definitely gonna blow that cast. They're so nervous seeing that. But a lot of times, for our majority of sight fishing, you're just looking for tiny little nuances, and a lot of times it's the white of a redfish's lips or a little bit of the white on the tail. And you can pick it out a little bit of difference, just the way they're moving through the water, whether it's a push from the redfish. So a push is when they're shallow water, their body will actually push water. A redfish has a real wide profile. Saltwater fishing, for inshore fishing, every fish makes a different wake. If you go down to the Keys and you're looking at permit and bonefish, you can tell if you're out there and you can tell from 100 yards away what kind of fish that is. A redfish has a real wide profile. They're one of the few fish that we have on the flats here. We have sheephead on the flats mainly, and you'll see some random stuff, flounder and stuff, but they're not gonna be pushing the wakes. Redfish is a wide fish and they always push straight. If you spook them, they take off straight. A mullet is really erratic and everything like that. So you're looking for that straight push, ideally not pushing away from you, because if they're pushing away from you, usually you spooked them and they've already seen you. The whole key with catching a redfish in the shallow is to get that bait presentation to them before they know you're there. So my favorite baits for shallow water applications is probably the TRD crawls. It used to be the shrimps, but I used to have to modify it. So a lot of the fish are a little spooky when you're in shallow water with the redfish. And I used to try to cut the tail off, and then it didn't have a whole lot of action to it. The TRD crawls, if you're fishing in less than a foot of water, very rarely will a fish refuse that. It's a small enough bait, mimics either, a mud crab, a fiddler crab, a shrimp. Throw it on the Finesse Bullets jig head, which is a smaller jig head. It's kind of like an EWG style jig head. Has some built-in weights. Perfect application for this bait. So when you throw it to this red, you don't have to work it. Usually a bait, you've got to move it and stuff. And sometimes you're not sure if you should give it a little hop, a bigger hop, or a swim by the fish. With this, you just throw it next to it. I have redfish all the time, turn around 180 degrees. They see the little claws and they come over. All right, we got him right here. He'll eat that one again. There you go. All right. All right.
There he is.
There he is.
Sitting there waiting for it. Nice.
And you don't have to, you know, especially as a guide, I can't say I have the best aim, but a lot of my clients unfortunately don't have the best aim. And when you're throwing a 3-inch bait or a 4-inch bait and you hit next to a fish, that fish is gonna take off. You put that TRD cross next to it and he destroys your bait.
Oh! I'm gonna steal our fish real quick. Oh, you're good, you can cast up in. Oh yeah, yep. Had to steal your fish. Oh, you hear him crushing back in there? This is a fun school back here.
Cat, you're killing me tonight. He's got something else in his mouth, man. Like last night was the first time he's brought us an animal in like over a year.
Really?
And now he's like, oh, they're loving it. Pete is all over you guys, man. Thought you guys were big activists at catch and release. Oh, that doesn't count varmints. Come here, kitty.